Hey, welcome. This is a quick intro. This is Boris, the host of the show, to this episode, just so you know what's coming up. I actually have the first time a couple on the show. So Dr. TJ and Bryn, his wife, they have an amazing clinic, and we go through a lot of different topics in this episode. More specifically, we actually dive a lot into peptides and other forms of methods that are being used for healing that are maybe controversial right now, depending on when you're listening. But they have a very, very comprehensive way that they treat clients, and they go through in detail on what's been working, what isn't, and some of the core details that I'm not going to spill too much, but one of them that I'm excited to learn and dive into with you is how bone density, structure, and just frailty happens through diet. And I think this is a lot of people don't know about this one. So without further ado, have a listen. It's super exciting. They're both very energetic, and it's a couple this time, so it'll be more dynamic. Let's dive in.
Welcome, guys. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. I think you're the first couple on the show.
Really?
Yeah.
Look at that.
So I wanted to dive into how does it work when you're working together as a family, but also as a business?
Yeah. Well, I think that it's worked really nicely because we effectively have like 3 different business lines for what we do. And so for as much as we work together, we don't actually work together.
Yeah. We can still get home after the day and be like, how was your day? What'd you do? What'd you learn? Right? Any fires?
And
stuff like that.
with your practice,
She fought this in the beginning. Because
I didn't want to work with them.
I'm like, we're going to blow this thing up. We can do this. Let's do it. Let's do it and get her out of corporate America. But she's so stinking successful and so smart that she's at the top of the game in a field that is primarily dominated by men.
Yeah.
And she's just crushing it. And I'm like, oh, selfishly, I mean, that's awesome. You're amazing. Selfishly, gosh, if we came together, we could really blow this apart. So
Yeah. But the fact that I have like a business background and he has his practitioner healthcare background, it was kind of like a match made in heaven when it comes to being healthcare entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So it worked out really nicely. My forte is marketing as well as kind of systems administration. And I came from a healthcare software as a service background. So it worked nicely.
yeah. Awesome. It was great.
So talk to me a little bit about the healthcare practice, the coaching, the programs.
Yeah.
Are you,
It's his health group. Yeah.
are you the one that does all the care planning and you let Bryn?
Yeah, that's kind of my passion is really creating the care plans of how can we make these people better, add more life to their years and more years to their life, as cliche as that sounds. At the end of the day, I think that's what all of us are looking for.
Right.
We want to live a long time, but we also want to live.
Right.
You know what I mean? We really want to thrive during that. Initially we started with just a chiropractic brick and mortar, high volume practice.
Yep.
And then we started branching out into other options of people that, we weren't able to, truly have a long lasting impact with just chiropractic. And that's when we went to the joint injections. Not that chiropractic wasn't helping them. It absolutely was. But we wanted to look for ways we could create, more branches to that tree. And then we opened up a joint injection.
Yeah.
clinic.
Well, I think that we founded our office on helping the full person when it comes to healthcare.
Yeah.
And really looking from the inside out. And we just had a lot of people coming into our office that we weren't able to help with chiropractic and various ancillary services in the chiropractic realm that were I can't even walk anymore. My knees hurt so bad. My doctor is telling me I need a total knee replacement. And these are people that are surgery is my only option, and they've completely shifted their lifestyle and become really sedentary because of it. And so we all know that impacts every portion of your health. And so we looked into non-surgical solutions for people with osteoarthritis and early onset osteoarthritis because knee pain is the number one joint pain in the nation, and it's just continuing to get worse and worse with higher obese rates, things like that. And so we found a non-surgical solution that was really effective. Hired on a medical team with a nurse practitioner, medical assistant,
Sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Medical director.
Yeah. And so it's been really amazing to help people who kind of had lost all hope of living a normal life. They're oh, I'm going to have to go through an invasive surgery, a long recovery process. the efficacy rates aren't as high as what's kind of touted. And now they're able to do that with a few injections. And, they come to our office every like 6 months to a year to either get hyaluronic acid, PRP, or stem cell injections. And like these people, like it is absolutely life changing.
It's amazing. And they come to our businesses are under the same roof.
Yeah.
And so people can come and get their supplements, get their adjustments, get their knee injections. And like, it still can be, because of the way we have it set up, be billed to their Medicare, so it's like trying to create this one-stop shop holistic medicine, on all sides.
With a least invasive first care model too. Yeah. Like that's like the route we take, which is, I feel like a big like breath of fresh air for a lot of people because they go into the doctor and again, it's kind of like we like to be hope dealers, but oftentimes when you go into a standard medical practice, it's the opposite.
Hope is robbed.
Yeah. And so it's just reinstilling that hope and like giving them that faith in their body's ability to heal and that innate intelligence and things like that. And then that's when we started doing some of the virtual stuff and layering on all sorts of other things like our peptide programs and detox programs and stem cells for those different things as well. So,
well, obviously rock stars, and I want people to maybe get to know that journey a little bit more and dive into that so they can resonate.
Yeah.
TJ, when you got into healthcare, there was many different fields you could have gone into: medical doctor, naturopath, energy healer, Chinese herbal, chiropractic, etc. What led to the chiropractic route? Did you see that as something that helped you, and so therefore you got into the industry? Was it that you had a health scare and that type of practitioner out to? Was it that you just aligned with that type of philosophy? I think it'd be really cool to kind of see a little bit of that origin story and what got you there.
Yeah, gosh, I wish I could wow you with some like injury story of how it saved me. Honestly, I was going to be a dentist. Like when I graduated high school, I was going to be a dentist. I always wanted to like be my own boss and just like be able to serve a lot of people and run a company. That is something that I wanted to do. So I knew I wanted to do that. And then it went to, okay, how can I do that and impact people?
Right.
And like I said, I wanted to be a dentist. And then my freshman year of college, when I was like shadowing, looking at, I don't know if I can look at teeth all day. And then I just went to Google and it's like, what other doctors, because now doctor was in my head.
Yeah.
Can I be? And it hit me. It was chiropractic. Like it was just a random night. And then I started shadowing chiropractors and going to seminars and visiting the schools and stuff like that throughout college.
Yeah.
And I was like, I fall in love with this profession. This is cool. Mm-hmm. And then I told my parents about that, and we had a family chiropractor.
Yeah.
I say that, but I was like, well, you're talking about like, I didn't even know his name.
Right.
My dad's like, yeah, Brian. You know Brian?
Yeah.
He's got the Corvette in the house on the golf course. So I like Brian. Be like Brian. But I got adjusted maybe 3 times throughout that.
Yeah.
Right. And in college, during season, I played football in college, and we had a chiropractor that would come once a week, just after practice on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And whoever wanted to get adjusted, just line up. And so I would always do that. And that just kind of like, this is awesome. Mm-hmm. Like this is really cool and the path forward for me.
Yeah.
And then once, graduated college, got accepted to Cleveland College Chiropractic, like that's when the passion for the philosophy of the healing from the inside out just really hit, and then started learning into that other side of healthcare, which is the healthcare that I grew up, the modern medicine type, and puts a bad taste in my mouth even just now. So just really, really happy to be on this, functional medicine side of things.
Amazing. Even though you said it's not some
crazy story,
but I think the key I want to pull out is you listen to your intuition.
Yeah.
Something wasn't jiving with you.
Yeah.
I think everybody can appreciate that, because a lot of times people don't listen to their intuition.
Yeah.
People wait years and years to make a change. People don't build a life that they want, and they're stuck.
I'm a big follow that gut thing. And like I said, it really was. It was just like, I'm just sitting there. I'm gonna be a chiropractor.
Yeah.
And that's how it was. It was like when I met Bryn, I was like, well, I'm gonna marry that girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
It took me a little bit to convince her, but that was legit how it was, right?
All right.
I was like,
But what's
it's the same
crazy,
thing.
Forget healthcare. We got to hear that.
well, what's really crazy too is the fact that like you didn't have this like, crazy healing story that like led you into chiropractic, but like your passion and ability is just like so strong. And so when we met, he was already a practicing chiropractor under another chiropractor and was just like a phenomenal adjuster. Like even just like at this event that we're at, like you can walk around and like he's going to be the guy known for like giving the best adjustments.
Yeah.
And so it's just phenomenal. Like his like natural ability, like the universe absolutely conspired to like have him become a chiropractor because it truly is like his calling.
Yeah.
And when we started dating, he was kind of up to like renew like a contract under this other chiropractor with like a 3-year non-compete and all this stuff. And I'm like, TJ, you're good enough to just do this on your own. Like just pull the trigger and like start your own business. Like that was why you got into it in the first place. So just do it and I'll help you along the way. And we had only been dating for not long at that point. So we like literally got into business together.
Yeah, we did everything backwards. Yeah.
After a few months of dating.
Yeah.
And then I still kept my corporate America job for a while. But then, we built the brick and mortar business and then ended up having a sweet baby boy. And then he did finally convince me to marry him. And then we got married.
He stacked the deck in his favor.
We had a
It might as wasness.
Right. I'm like, well, I'm in too deep. So I guess this is what we're doing.
house baby came like same time, and then we got married.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. No, but I think what you said was actually really important. Even though you just started dating, you saw a rock star and the partner that you just met, and so you saw that he could go for it, and you were somebody that's encouraging him.
Yeah, sure.
I do think that there's a lot of dynamics where the partner's too scared. Like if that partner changes too much, is he gonna leave me, or you know what I mean? It's like I just want to acknowledge that was amazing for you to be like, hey, look, I got your back.
I would not be here if it wasn't for her.
Yeah,
I
right.
would be.
You know, so
Yeah, I think that's like a lot of people, like half the battle, right, is that they get in our own way because we have these like stigmas that we've built up in our own head for ourselves. And like, I think having an outsider perspective and just somebody that can like believe in you is honestly like just the push that a lot of people need. But yeah, like I just firmly believed like he just really needed to step into this space where like he was fully doing what he was like born to do, honestly. And it sounds weird again because he was like, oh, I kind of just like picked this out of a hat and then ran with it and fell in love with it. But it's like, no, there was something that made the stars align to make that happen for you. He just needed the extra little nudge. So and it's really exciting when you see your partner become more authentic and who they were meant to be, and like that just like natural ease that comes along with that. It like feels good when they're in that space, and makes things easier for everybody.
Just being authentic, and even we can tell the same story, you know, about you and how, you know, she's running our social media, and our Instagram has grown like crazy in the last, 6 months because she's just dove into her passion and her true authentic self to give this information out to others because they need it. And that's been a lot of fun. And so
I think that's definitely like I went to business school to be in business, and that's what I did, but it's really cool to have been introduced to this side of healthcare and learn so much more about the body, because now I do a lot of our like health coaching side of it. So when it comes to like our detox programs and like initial consultations on some of like the peptide work and other things for lifestyle choices, like I really leaned into that and learned a lot. And like I couldn't have imagined myself ever doing that, 5-10 years ago. And now it is such a passion of mine. And like I couldn't imagine doing anything else because it is so fulfilling, because we just have such phenomenal stories for like the level of impact we have on people's lives. And so that's really cool. So I'm really grateful to get like kind of pulled into this space and be able to impact people in that way. So
that's awesome. I'd love to pull together some of the things you're talking about and relate it back to the patients that you are catering to. you're saying somebody needs to be in your corner and have your backing. Do you feel like that's been one of the core pillars in your practice that's made it so successful? Because I know you guys are thriving, but it's like people feel you guys, TJ and Bryn are in my corner. They got my back. They actually believe in me, as opposed to, I know sometimes that's really not the case, or a lot of time that hasn't been the case. Can you guys talk a little bit about that and how that patient experience is and how that trust is built?
That's like, I'm really proud of the fact that we built our brick and mortar. We're based out of Council Bluffs, Iowa, so close to the Omaha metro. And we were the new kids in town, and we're not even from that area originally. And we became like the second largest chiropractor within like the first year and a half of being open. And the way that we did that was because we were getting amazing patient outcomes, but because of the way we were treating people. And they walk into our doors and we listen and we understand their specific case. And again, we address the whole person. We don't just, we talk about it all the time. If you have one tool in your toolkit and that's a hammer, every problem is going to be a nail. So if you're going into, I like using the knee treatment, for example. Like if you have knee pain and you go to, your surgeon, they know how to do surgery, and so they're going to tell you
it's not the surgeon's fault. That's what they're taught. That's their bread and butter, right? At the end of the day, I'm thankful we have the best surgeons, in the world, right here in America, should that be necessary. But we need to remember why it was created. Drugs and surgery were created to be an absolute last resort emergency.
Yeah.
That's it. And now that's the first call that people go to when you have a sniffle or you get headaches, and it's just backwards.
And so now, like, this person's walked in and they're like, I have this, debilitating knee pain, and the doctor is saying, well, your insurance will cover a total knee replacement in a few years, so just wait it out.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, their health is continuing to deteriorate because that surgeon isn't looking at the whole person.
Yeah.
And they're not looking at why this is happening. Why is there early onset osteoarthritis in the body? And what are the things that we can do to at least slow this down in the process versus just waiting around and exacerbating the issue?
Yeah.
And so we really peel back those layers of, what has led you to this point, and educate people on, if you have 5, 10, 20, 30 years of deterioration based on lifestyle choices, you don't get to have one injection or one adjustment and be a brand new person. It takes a bit of a road and commitment to get back to that. But the reward on the other side is so amazing because we're not just, helping temporarily relieve pain. We're extending these people's lives and their ability to live their life in those years that we're extending.
Giving them a life back that they used to have or that they desire. Our knee clinic is primarily, people 50 plus that are concerned to be able to play with their grandkids,
right?
To be able to golf, to be able to go on vacation, to be able to go out on a date with their loved one that they've built this incredible life with. They worked so hard in their 30s and 40s, and now they're 56 and they got foot drop. They got sciatica so bad, or their knee hurts so bad they can't garden.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And being able to impact people at that level has created this place in our hearts, I think, to just listen and kind of open up when people are in front of us. You just don't know. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten down on one knee, next to the chiropractic table and just been like, what's up?
Yeah.
Just put your hand on someone's back. Just ask them what's up. And you're with them for 3 minutes. It feels like an hour to them.
Mm-hmm. Because no one's listened to them or approached them in that way before.
No.
Right. And they're not used to it. And so it means a lot to them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool about the practice that we've built is we have every age group, right? We talked about the aging population, but then we have mothers coming in that are new moms with little babies that are screaming and crying and they don't know why.
Yes.
We're able to assist them and educate them through some things that are actually more helpful than, again, exacerbating the problem with other medications that are making things worse versus getting to the root cause of a lot of the issues that are happening in the baby. And so we've kind of dealt with that. And then what's been really cool too is lately we've really gotten into helping people that are just like us.
Yeah.
And so it's been really fun to kind of also transition into like that demographic as well.
Yeah.
Because, that's really rewarding on like the, early years and family, and as well as like the aging population. But it's also really fun to work with people who are like you. And so like I'm actually pregnant right now with my second kid. But like after my first kid, I had like just felt like I had like not been able to get my body back to where it was, like my hormones and like all of these different things, and just didn't feel quite like myself. And then we just started learning more and more about like peptides and detox and different types of things that really, really help with the whole body. And now we're like really into like biohacking people for like age reversal, and it freaking works, and it's super, super cool. And same thing with like TJ and your like age group of males, like you're like, that is like kind of the prime time too, where they're like, oh, I actually starting to need to look at my like testosterone levels. And like, I also don't feel like the young energetic guy that like I was before and all that stuff. And it's really, really cool to like see people like age backwards in our practice because of the cool tools that we've like integrated into it. And so now we've just like even gone from people who have come to us in pain to people who aren't in pain at all. They just want to like be the literal best option like for themselves that they could possibly be. So that's really fun.
Yeah. And then that's where that term longevity comes into.
Totally. A couple of things that I really want to dive into. The people that are coming to you, have you noticed the amount of people with like knee replacements, pain, etc.? Has that been increasing compared to the past?
Yes, absolutely.
And if so, what, in your opinion, what are some of the factors influencing that?
Yeah, I mean, diet is such a huge aspect of it, and then obviously lifestyle too. So, if the less that we're moving and building muscle in like the really primary muscle groups, like in your legs and glutes and things like that, your lower extremities are going to deteriorate faster. It's like proven that, the less muscle that you have in the lower portion of your body, the like lesser your life will be, and the lesser you're going to be able to be mobile in, later ages and stages of your life. And you're going to become more and more and more unhealthy. And so the kind of just lifestyle, the more like sedentary lifestyle, especially in America, that we're kind of used to living, is a big part of it. But then diet is so massive. Like we talk about detoxing, like the amount of chemicals in our foods and pesticides and all of these things that are wreaking havoc on our body and creating inflammation. And inflammation is what leads to disease and osteoarthritis and things like that. But not only does it do that, but it also down regulates your body's ability to have effective stem cell production. And so this is how your body heals and turns over. And so as we age, we naturally just have less stem cells in our bodies, which are, again, how our body heals. So even if you do have that surgery, the way that you're healing is not through the casts and bandages and all that stuff. Your body is healing the scarring and all of that stuff, but it's the stem cells that are doing those types of things. And if you're not giving your body the fuel that it needs, or it has severe inflammation where those are going to those other areas, you're going to have degeneration in areas like joints and bones and things like that so much faster. So it's heavy lifestyle. And it's just like, again, that education to people that the power that made the body heals the body. Like we have these things in our bodies that help us heal. Like let's fix those, and let's fix the reason why those aren't working for you, so that we can make your body work how it was intended to.
And then people will get the most out of the things that they already are doing and know that they need to do and probably desire to do. I think the reason that health can decline, because it's not, at the end of the day, it's not rocket science. I need to eat a little bit better, and I need to work out a little bit, or I should probably get some sleep, maybe drink some water.
Yeah. Reduce resistance and inflammation. And like those are big pieces.
Yeah. It's not like, it doesn't have to be complicated. And I'm big on that. Like, let's like really just dumb this down to simple steps and simple categories. Let's pick which one is nagging, you the most, and then we'll go from there. Like, I got you. And so it becomes this cascade where people are like, I tried this, I tried that, and then it's like, oh, have you ever lived in mold? Oh yeah, college apartment was full of mold. When did you start noticing these symptoms? Yeah, probably about like right after college. Okay, well, let's start there.
Yeah, let's start detoxing some of those
Right?
things out of your
Let's
body.
do a detox, right? Because I have people that are our age, right? That are on the outside, I'm like, man, they are healthy, look kind of fit, whatever. They're doing all the right things. They're at the gym all the time, but on the inside, at the cellular level in the mitochondria, it's just not functioning right. Yeah. So you're not getting anything out of all that stuff that you're spending money on, spending time on, you're spinning your wheels.
Yeah, and they're feeling the chronic fatigue and the anxiety and the like moodiness and those types of things that are coming from that like dysregulation. And so that's really commonly like what we see in people too.
Peel that all back, start from the beginning, and then build from there. And we've built the programs to be able to do that.
Yeah, and our favorite thing that we like to talk about too is like, especially people like our age, like they love, starting to get on supplements, especially like women, like collagen and things like that, because we know that, our collagen production is decreasing and we want to look younger and feel younger. And I have these women coming to me spending all this crazy money on these supplements. And I'm like, okay, but really all you're doing is paying for expensive pee because your body isn't able to absorb any of this because you have absorption issues. So your issue actually is less of, I'm deficient in XYZ. It's an absorption issue. And so then we address those things. And it's like ends up saving people a lot of the money in the long run on those things that aren't effective too. And so that's cool.
One really interesting thing I want to dive into, and I don't think people think of it this way. You mentioned diet and lifestyle factors. Let's talk about diet. If I have knee issues, knee pain, knee problems, how is the diet directly correlated to those issues? So being sedentary and not having muscle, I think most people in their head can resonate, right? I don't have this and I don't move, so it kind of deteriorates. But I want to bridge that gap. Like, how is the diet specifically for my bone going to be impactful?
Absolutely. So like reducing sugars is one of like the number one things. And reduce especially with the population we deal with that, for some reason, they're all like big soda drinkers. Like everybody drinks pop. For some reason comes to us with knees. And so the first thing I say is like, stop like drinking all your sugars throughout the day. And so sugar is a big component of it. Is we're kind of reducing the sugar and moving more towards like natural sugar. So like fruits and things like that versus a lot of like chemically based kind of sugar and stuff. And it's really just like anything that's going to be inflammation stimulating in the body.
So it's more the inflammation in the bone and the joints from excess amounts of, let's say sugar.
Sugar's one of them. There's three things that are the most inflammatory to the body, in my opinion. Sugar, of course, and then seed oils.
Yeah.
And sugar included in that would be like pasta. Right, very, very
carbohydrates.
Carbohydrates and sugars, same thing. Seed oils, they're everywhere, so you got to read your food labels. And then alcohol. So those things are just going to put your body in an inflammatory state so that you're not able to heal from the inflammation that you have, say in your knee, right? Because your body is trying to heal from the inflammation that you just put into it today.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow, your body will say, okay, let's work on this knee inflammation. Let's get better. But you're just re-inflaming it. And so all of inflammation
and everything else that
just grows and grows and grows. And then so your body's like, okay, well, I have to be able to communicate with the healer cells in my knee, but I can't because I'm so inflamed. And so your body is going to address the inflammation first, always.
Yeah. So like kind of those stem cells, those little fighters that like continue to are the building blocks of life.
Yeah.
They're going to go heal when you're consuming things like that, you're creating inflammation that those are trying to fight off as well. And leaky gut, as we know, is like one of the biggest like things running rampant now, especially again in America with all of the chemicals and crap in our food.
Yeah.
And so like that is, if you have leaky gut then too, it alters a lot of like your hormone responses. And that impacts a lot of things for early onset aging as well. And then people just don't get enough protein, and that's a big component of it. They're not educated. Like they think they need to take a vitamin D supplement because that's what their orthopedic surgeon told them to be taking for their bones. But actually, that can be hindering the situation even more if you're not taking a specific, like D3, pairing it with K2, and then also a magnesium, because you need to also activate that, and you need to place that vitamin D in the bone where it belongs. And because then if not, you get calcification and other things going on.
Close the arteries.
Yeah, but nobody gets educated on that. So they're just popping these vitamin D pills and actually making themselves worse off, thinking that they're doing something good for their bodies. And so it also is kind of a miseducation and supplementation and things like that when it comes to the diet for these people who have just been really misinformed. Yep. So we kind of do a lot of re-educating on that.
Gotcha. To make it super real for everybody, if I'm working out and I have muscle and I'm active and I'm eating sugar, are you still seeing inflammation in the bones?
Yes.
So it's really, and then, okay, and if you are, why is it showing up there versus other areas? Or is your answer, it's everywhere? It just kind of, so it's like, why would sugar specifically show up in my knee?
It is everywhere.
Yeah.
But our bodies can't feel everywhere.
Right.
I don't know how my liver's doing right now. I don't know how my thyroid's doing right now, because the nerves that control that have nothing to do with pain or sensation.
Right.
Right. And so then when people call us about that, right, it's because, oh, my elbow hurts. My issue must be in my elbow.
Yeah.
Right. Or my knee hurts. Right. So that's why, because the brain tells us that the knee is in pain.
Or you have like long-term, like autoimmune disorders, things like that.
Yeah.
Those are when you start realizing you actually have a dysfunction in an organ that you can't necessarily feel the dysfunction in. But the other thing too is it's your most load-bearing joint. It's the hardest joint to recover from surgery. People think like a hip replacement is the hardest, and you would think because it's such a large area of the body, but like your knees are the most load bearing. It is the hardest recovery process to go through a total knee replacement. And so that's why they give out the kind of like the fastest, or they're the first sign of that, is because they are the most load bearing joint in our body. So we're using it very heavily. And so there's nothing you can do in an active lifestyle where you're not using your knees.
Yes.
And so that is where it's plaguing a lot of people. So it's not necessarily that it's just going towards the knees. It's that they are the workers of the body. And so that osteoarthritis, if it's going to be onset, it's probably in other areas too, but you're feeling it really heavily, and you're probably being told you're bone on bone in your knees. Like, that's also a really common misconception we get in our office too. Doctors telling people, oh, you're bone on bone, you have nothing left, there's nothing else you can do. And we get in there because we have live video x-ray, we see what is actually going on, and if there's enough to work with, you can do a lot of stuff.
We know we can help them.
Yeah. I actually think that's super powerful, because your message is, just because it's showing up there doesn't mean that that's the problem.
Yeah.
There could be lots of problems. It's just your body's just like, all right, listen, I'm going to hit some nerve.
This is the fire alarm going.
Yeah. Like, we're just going to tell you that something's wrong so you can finally do something.
So you'll go in, you'll get your butt in and go try to, I use a fire alarm analogy all the time.
Yeah, rarely is the symptom ever the root of the issue.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think like that, again, is where people come into our office, and that is our number one goal, is to get to the root of the issue. And it can be a lot of different things and a lot of different shifts, but like that's what we're solving for, and not just strapping a Band-Aid on it and thinking it's going to solve the deeper issue with them.
Yeah.
And another thing that really frustrates me is people who get a corticosteroid shot. Like, if you're getting steroid shots for arthritis, you are just like fast tracking deterioration. People go into their doctor, they get a steroid shot. All that's doing is drying out your joint space further. It is like express laning your deterioration of that joint.
Yeah.
And it's giving you like a few weeks to a few months max of relief for like taking off substantial amount of time of the like use of that joint. It's
Steroid
really
shot
aggravating to me that they don't get educated on that.
is being deemed safe if you take 12 to 14 months in between the shots.
Yeah.
Right. And so most people get them every 6 months, every 3 months. Right. So you're drying out an already dried out joint.
Right.
Yeah.
And aka arthritis.
Yep, makes a lot of sense. I do want to shift into one of the most exhilarating topics there is today, reversing aging.
Yeah.
How are you defining reversing aging? And then so that people are like, let's align on a definition.
Yeah.
How are you guys defining that you're reversing someone's age?
Yeah. So we look at your biological age versus just like the age for the year that you were born.
Given age.
Your given age, yeah, versus your biological age, which is like really like the age of your cells and your body's ability to do the things we talked about with, your level of stem cell production and ability to heal and all of these types of things, collagen production.
Yep.
And so that is kind of the barometer that we use for the anti-aging. And it runs the gamut when it comes to like the kind of like symptoms and like the surface level, like, my skin looks better. I have less wrinkles. I have bouncier skin. I have more energy.
Stronger.
I can lift heavier at the gym. I have more stamina. All of these types of things. But like they all go hand in hand, and they help you heal faster. There's just a lot of different things we can do. But that is the kind of the baseline that we use to measure it.
So we have a lab test called the oxidative stress test.
Yeah.
It's got a ton of markers on that test, but a lot of people that is kind of look like reading Japanese. Let's go with this cute little chart on the page, and it is a graph, and it says, here's your given age. You're 57 years old today.
Yeah.
By this test, it says that you're 63 or whatever.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. And that is like holding up a mirror to someone that says, all my blood work looks normal.
All my labs are normal.
I'm on barely on any medications. Right.
Yep.
I feel okay, but like I know something's wrong. I go into the doctor and he say, you're fine. You're just anxious. Like you need to decrease your stress. It's like, I know something's wrong. And then that is where the term longevity comes in, where we can reverse that, that chart.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Now let's dive into what everybody wants to know.
It's how.
Right out of
We start. We've been talking about it. Start with that chart and figure out what pops up onto that, right?
Yeah.
And then in our business, my job then is to let's put together the steps for the supplements, the maybe some workout stuff, and then she can go into like let's get rid of some toxins, right, that you're putting in your body or on your body or in your home, right? And
the big thing is
detox.
So like that's really the first step, right? So is upregulating mitochondrial function, which is the powerhouse of the cell, clearing out a lot of toxins that are down regulating the cell's ability to do its job in the first place. So like that's our baseline method, is let's clear out all the junk, all the white noise, all of the stuff that is down regulating your body's ability to do all of these things. So detox is our first step.
Not really the sexy part.
It is not the sexy part, but it's like laying that really good groundwork for people. So, and it kind of goes back to the expensive P. You can spend a lot of money on peptides and different stem cell and PRP therapies and all of these different types of things and face creams.
Everything.
But if you don't do that first, you're really setting a lot of that money on fire. So do it first so that you have better absorption for all of these other things, so you can be doing them in lower doses and getting way more out of them.
Yeah.
And so then we just have different tracks and programs for the individual sitting in front of us. So like what we would put you on versus what we would put me on is wildly different, right? So, and so it's based on those goals. And so maybe you can kind of share a few of your favorite, because our favorite thing to say is like the biohack is in the stack. Yeah. And so it's truly what is going to be very specific to that individual in that secret sauce for them.
Yeah. And what they, ultimately want to do. How do they want the rest of their life, to kind of look.
Yeah. So like some of your favorite peptides and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Should we talk about what peptides are on a baseline, do you think?
I was going to get into, so we'll get into that in a second.
Okay. I was going to say it so people understand.
There's one thing I want to clarify, because I feel like there's different viewpoints on this.
Yeah.
Reversing aging, some will say, is you're going to live longer. And then some would say it's you just look better, but you're not going to necessarily live longer, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys define reversing aging? Is it we're going to extend life, or is it
It's all of the above.
Yeah.
Our goal is to extend life, because what we're doing is we are slowing down the clock on the aging process. So we're trying to get more years.
Yeah.
And then also we're starting to kind of rewind the clock as far as, again, that biological age, that cellular age of the individual. So you're feeling younger, you're healthier in those years, you're making lifestyle changes so that you're able to be mobile and doing all of these things that in your 70s and 80s you wouldn't have imagined you'd be able to do, because we're supposed to be living longer. But like, are we actually living longer if we're just immobile and in pain? So like, it's that, and it's obviously looking the part too. And we talk about the whole muscle versus fat aspect of that playing a big role. And then the kind of the beauty side of it too, right? Like, again, men and women both want to look youthful and good as long as they possibly can, less wrinkles, all that stuff.
I think sometimes people try to downplay that, and I'm like, at the end of the day, everybody wants to look
that's
good
the norm.
Everyone wants to look at
Like,
it.
the majority of people work out to look better.
Yes.
Nobody cares that it's healthy. Like, it's like, sure, like biohacking crowd, and like somebody who's like, I want to actually live to 500 is like literally looking at every metric.
Yeah.
But 99% of people are like, I want to look hot, I want to look better.
Look good.
That's like, don't deny the fact that that's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
All of us want that.
Yeah.
You know?
I talk to people about that a lot, guys and girls.
Yeah.
Let's just get your swag back.
Yeah.
Just like how health on the decline is a cascade, it's a cascade the other way too.
Yeah.
Because once you can look in your mirror and you start seeing that fat coming off and your jeans fit differently now, right? Or that guy that has to drill in another belt loop, right? Because we're too cheap to go buy a new belt, so we just make it tighter. Or the mom, right, that hasn't felt herself, and then she puts on that dress she hasn't worn in a while to go out on a date, and it's like, then it's a cascade the other way.
Yeah.
And then you can look yourself in the mirror and be like, I got this. Like, this is my path forward.
Yeah.
And that's how we're adding life to those years that we're extending.
Amazing. I love that. Let's dive into the more controversial topic, peptides.
Yeah.
They got banned. People said this is the next new thing. People are still doing it. They came back. It's kind of like a yo-yo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, what are peptides?
We can speak freely.
Freely. Yeah.
Peptides are the first real thing to give Big Pharma a little bit of shake in their boots.
Yep.
And that's why.
Yeah.
They're the first thing. Nothing else in biohacking, in nutrition, has been able to do the things that peptides are doing.
As
that will
quickly
continue
as they
to.
do it.
Yeah, I will speak to my father, who is one of the most unhealthy people that I've ever met. And when we put him on some peptides, and he still can't pronounce the word peptides. I think he does it on purpose.
Yeah, of course.
He was bending over to put the golf ball on the tee. He loves to play golf, right? He's feeling great. And we bending over, he almost passed out. And he's like, stood up and he's dizzy. He's like, TJ, what the heck did you put me on? Like, I can't golf. Like, I can't, these things. And I said, that's blood pressure for sure. Right? Yeah. He's been on blood pressure medication for 2 decades.
Yeah.
Right? I said, get an appointment like on Monday. He did. The doc cut his blood pressure medication by 3/4.
After being on peptides.
Yeah.
For a month.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, that is impactful, because we know the side effects of blood pressure medication or cholesterol, right? We can go the whole gamut of that. And so to be able to do that, and I think Big Pharma is scared.
Yeah. And so just to kind of like peel it back too and just talk about what are peptides.
Yeah. What are they specifically?
Yeah.
Is it a drug? Is it a supplement? Is it a compound? Is it
kind of all of the above?
Yeah.
And so they're naturally occurring amino chains in the body. So you kind of have like these short chains, and then longer chains are like protein, a polypeptide, and then like a protein. Yeah. And so peptides are these small short chains of amino acids that basically trigger and cue cells to perform various functions throughout the body. They're like the conductors of our body's orchestra. They're kind of telling them what to do, and then our cells go about executing on that task in the best way that they can. So they're not the micromanagers of the body either. The cells are carrying out what they need to do in our body in the most efficient way. And so that's the big difference too between like a peptide and like a pharmaceutical medication is
Just foreign.
instead of like injecting a foreign substance to subsidize a deficiency.
Yeah.
You are coming in on the front end and cueing a process for your body to naturally create
That's always been the process.
something that's already there, right? So if you have a hormone issue, instead of injecting a hormone and tell your body, oh, you just need to make less of this, we're going to pump this into your body and make this issue worse. We'll inject a peptide saying, no, you need to make more of this hormone, go do it. And so it's going about it in a more natural way, a healthier way, and it's just as effective, if not more, and you're able to get off of it and have long-lasting results versus being on it for the rest of your life.
Because you can kind of retrain that pathway.
Yeah.
That was already there.
Sending your cells to college. And so they are like retraining, and you're able to like, and so it is kind of like a little bit of that fountain of youth depending on like which process you're cueing, right? Because there's just thousands and thousands of peptides that do perform various functions in the body. Yeah. And so that's where we talk about like the biohack is in the stack based on that specific person and their needs.
What they want.
And so they are controversial, and it's, we were talking about like FDA regulation and all of these stuff, and it is because they are competing really heavily with these pharmaceuticals, and they're doing a way better job in a healthier manner to get people off of drugs.
Yes.
And so,
I just got to pause right. She's not a doctor. That's crazy. You just hear that?
Awesome.
Wait, I'm going to start calling you Dr. Bryn. Exactly. Like, did you just hear that?
Yeah.
But, and so like, that's like the fun part too, is you're just opening up all these doors for people that they didn't realize. And we do a lot of education in our office because people come in and they're like, well, I don't want to get on that because I've heard bad things, or I've looked at this, or there's this article here. And, there's, a big, issue with GLP-1s. Like, so we talk about like the Ozempics and semaglutides and tirzepatides and stuff. So Ozempic and Mounjaro are the pharmaceutical brands for these GLP-1 modulators. At their core, they are a peptide. And these are just branded and
Big Pharma.
And by Big Pharma. Yeah. And so if you were to go online and you were to research on like a tirzepatide or a semaglutide, which is the primary active ingredient in these, the peptide that makes this function the way that it does, you will find article upon article, a part of article saying these are dangerous, these are unsafe, you shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. And guess who those are all produced by? Lilly, who is the pharmaceutical that owns those drugs.
Yep.
And so
Big Pharma's pumping out the negative research.
And so
basically on their own product, but saying, you need to go to your doctor and get a Ozempic prescription. Yeah. Don't go to your functional med doctor and get semaglutide from a compounding pharmacy, because that's bad.
Yeah.
Come get this Ozempic. This is good.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
And it's the same thing. And the other thing,
semaglutide.
And the other thing too is it does get a bad rap, because I do firmly believe that Ozempic is overprescribed at this point. I think that people are taking way too high of doses. I think that they are not monitored. I think that it absolutely is getting dangerous. It's getting a bad rap because it is getting overprescribed. Yeah. And so we do offer like a tirzepatide and a semaglutide as a peptide option as a part of the, again, thousands of peptide options in our programs. And it is very effective because it can help with a whole bunch of things, like helping to clear inflammation, reducing blood pressure, obviously helping with weight and fat loss, and improving kidney function, all these other things that like we don't talk about the good parts of it. Yeah. Because it can be overprescribed and mismanaged. Yeah. But we like it. We like tirzepatide as a peptide because it is a really, really great tool in the toolkit. Yeah. It just, in the wrong hands, can be misused. Yep. And so that's where we also don't overprescribe and give people too much, because what we're doing is we're looking at absorption issues and things like that first, and the core of the issue, before just saying, okay, up your dose or do this. because you shouldn't have to up your dose. That's the other misconception with peptides, because we're so used to pharmaceuticals where our body will build up like an immune response, almost a tolerance to it. And so then you have to up and up and up your dose, right?
In order to get the result,
effective.
efficacy levels.
Right. Peptides are not like that. Peptides are more like, we need to find the secret sauce for your specific body.
Mm-hmm.
And you should never have to like really change from that, because your body isn't building a tolerance and a resistance because it's naturally occurring.
Yeah.
So it's not saying like, ooh, this is foreign.
Yeah.
I need to be stopping and down regulating this. And so you shouldn't have to go up and up and up in your dose. And I think that again, is why a lot of these GLP-1s are being mismanaged in the marketplace.
So the way that we look at it, like she just prescribed,
Described. We're saying prescribed a lot.
is where it leans more into the supplement category.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because
Like
you
low
just- you
dosing.
figure out, your low dose, and you kind of just like the way that I personally use a GLP-1 is really random. I've figured out what dose works best for me.
Yeah.
And I take it when I want, just like I would my, whatever, say whatever you want, probiotic, magnesium,
Yeah.
vitamin D, right? It's not like, yeah, I want to take vitamin D every day, make sure I'm getting that into my body. But if I miss a day, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just I use peptides as a supplement.
And that's what's like, peptides are the supplements of the future. Like these are just a more impactful level of supplementation for the body. And it is sad that there is so much controversy because certain people are wanting these, out of the hands of the masses because they can impact health at such a great scale. But the other thing too is being educated enough on the inner workings of the body to know too which ones go hand in hand, which ones play nicely together, to make that stack very, very effective for that person. And that's where like TJ's expertise lies, is more with that kind of side of, training and educating and stuff on the actual stacking.
How, the dose, which ones to use together.
And then when
You
we,
get a better result, or which ones to pause. When do you need to cycle on and off? Things like that.
yeah. And then there's also a big difference between compounded pharmacy peptides. So we work actually really closely with our nurse practitioner.
Yeah. It does all of our prescriptions.
Who does all of our prescriptions. She has oversight over all of our cases really heavily. And so he works really closely with her for any of those like compounded peptides that come from a compounding pharmacy.
Yeah.
But then there's also a lot of other things out there that are plant-based peptides that can help cue processes. There's like research chemicals.
Peptides, yeah.
And so there's a lot of different kind of forms.
Yeah,
of peptides.
they're available for people, and they take a little bit more steps in education and like time on the health coach's part, if you will, but so necessary, because this is how these things are available for people. And when you're under the care of a trained, professional, you're going to get that result. You're going to be able to stay away from primary care and prescriptions and, thrive in your life.
Yeah.
That answer your question?
Yep, definitely. One thing I did want to get into is you mentioned like semi-glutides, and I know that's like very prominent now. And it's unless they stay on those semi-glutides, the weight gain comes back. I think it's
True. That's a myth. It's a myth.
It's not. That's
Well,
not true. You're not saying that.
It's a myth in our office if they're gonna stick with what we tell them, because the reason that it comes back, if someone is obese or they're pre-diabetic or they are diabetic, right?
Sure.
And they get on 6 months worth of Ozempic and they lose 50, 60 pounds, whatever. Great. They stop their Ozempic for whatever reason. And throughout that 6 months, if they're eating less, but you're still in the drive-through, if you're still not exercising, if you're still not paying attention to your sleep, it's lifestyle.
Appetite.
And so throughout the 6 months, what I tell my clients is, because that's the number one thing, right? It's okay. So I don't want to be on this forever, right? It's an investment, and peptides can be expensive.
Sure.
What do I do? I said, well, if you follow the guide, and you will learn so much about yourself throughout that 6 month program.
Yeah.
That now you are truly retraining your brain, that when you can come off it or go on maintenance, you can now handle that and the weight won't come back on.
Yeah. So it's, again, a tool to be used. It's not a crutch forever.
Yeah.
So we use it as a conduit to help speedily lose that weight, which is, it helps because it provides the easy wins for people. Because the last thing
Motivation.
the last thing you want to do is be switching up lifestyle and not seeing results.
Which is where we most people fall into.
Right. It's hard to be healthy.
Yeah.
Like for a lot of people. And so it's hard to get to the gym every day. It's hard to, I don't like really using the term diet. Just making like healthy nutrition choices.
That's what we do.
Yeah. But it's easy to do when you're seeing the results.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because now you're getting reaffirmed, you're getting affirmation, and you're seeing it in the mirror, you're feeling better. And so people are feeling better, looking better on these peptides. And then they're shifting a lot of the things with their lifestyle. And you have to remember, we've already done detox at this point too. So they're already functioning better.
Yeah. Or at the same time, you can overlap them too.
Yeah. And so now we've also, it is a different body than the body that came in our door, or over the phone or whatever. We do virtual as well. So that when they do get off of them, it isn't that extreme bounce back. Because when you're going into a standard doctor's office and you're getting prescribed that, they aren't talking to you about any of that stuff. They're not doing anything but continuing to up your dose until you get off of it. And so naturally you're going to have that bounce back. But in our office, like TJ said, it's a myth, because if you're doing peptides through us and, you're on this program, like, you're not going to have the bounce back.
Yeah. Peptides are going to work, but we also have to work.
Yeah.
Like we have to work, and people want to do that. Most people are willing to do that. And you just, like Bryn said, you get that motivation, and then it's not easy, but it stays off. It's not just gonna.
There's always ends, and there's always work the person has to do.
Yeah.
It sounds like your mission and your approach is, we use all the tools at our disposal to get you those wins, to get you the momentum, but then really you have to train you to do the right things over the long term.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
And like, what's just so cool is, like, a perfect example is like one of our office assistants. We love her. She's amazing. And she came to us. She's like in her mid-20s. She's very young. She had like chronic headaches, tension headaches, migraines, things like that, on anxiety medication, all of these things that are becoming so common with our youth, by the way, like the antidepressants and anxiety medications and stuff like that.
Like antidepressants are now being like prescribed the same day as like birth control now for these young girls.
And so she gets adjusted through our office. She like has done the detox. She's done all the things, right? And is on peptides. And what's really cool too is like there's peptides for that. There's peptides for anti-anxiety and depression. And there's also supplementation that helps regulate this. And so seeing the results that come out of that, like with somebody that we obviously know and love and works so hard for us, like that keeps us going. And then like is such a good use case too for the people who we talk to, that it's like we're not just impacting people who, are trying to biohack their ages at, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever. Like these are people in their 20s that we're working with, and it's changing their lives. She no longer has her headaches. She gets one obviously every now and again. She's not like superhuman, right? She will have a headache every now and again. But like it's not debilitating. It's not every other day.
Yeah.
She's not strapped to taking anxiety medication for the rest of her life like she thought she was. Like she can function on her own how her body was intended to. She just needed those little nudges to help with her body. And like that's what we do for our patients. And so that's where it's really fun. And it's hard to explain what we do because we can do so many things for so many people. But like it's cool. Like we can help you, period. Yeah. Like
that's kind of how it's been with some consultations. They're like, you think you can help with this? Yeah.
Because it all works together. But if we can't, we always refer out too.
Awesome. Well, TJ, Bryn, thank you guys so much for sharing your story, how you approach medicine, going into some of the tough topics openly with us to share, and so that other people can have a different opinion or perspective on those. Where can people go to get to know you even better, check you guys out, and engage with you?
Yeah.
EssenceHealthGroup.com is our website, and then we're on Instagram. Our handle's at EssenceHealthGRP is the handle for our Instagram. You can follow us there. We have all of our links. We share tons of free content all the time about that stuff. So
Amazing. Thank you so much for being on, and it was a pleasure.
Sure.
Yeah, that was fun.
Awesome.